Okay, so in your box you got a set of these awesome pens. So we've got an extra fine tip on this side, and this side we've got a large brush pen. We'll just take the lid off. So you can see it has this nice tip. So a couple things for working with your brush pen. You'll want to hold it about here is where you're gonna hold it, and you want to hold it at a 45-degree angle. So we don't want it flat with the table or the surface. We don't want it straight up and down. We want it right in the middle at 45, and that's gonna allow us to get a nice some thin lines and also get some thick lines. So when you're working with a brushed pen, anytime you're moving in an upward direction, you're going to be using light pressure or thin lines. And anytime you're moving down or in a downward direction, you're going to be using heavy pressure or thick lines. And then the last thing to know is you just want to be using your whole arm. So if I was going to try to draw this and I'm just using my wrist, you'll see eventually like I can't draw the stroke anymore, not evenly, but if I use my whole arm, I could go on as long as I need. So just keep that in mind, that you don't want to just be using only wrist movement. You kind of want to be able to move your whole arm as you're doing this. Something else to note, that even with just a few minutes, I don't know if you can see this, a few minutes of drawing, you can see my tip has kind of slanted one way. So just as you're drawing, just make sure, just kind of rotate it, do a few on this side, and then you'll just kind of want to keep rotating in your hand, and it's going to keep that tip straight so it doesn't get like stuck or bent in a certain direction. So on page 12, this has just a guideline for some uppercase brush letters. So I'm just going to walk you through how to draw these. So these can be cute on the mini Valentine cards, or they could be super cute on your treat bags too. So if you're going to start here at the baseline, and we're going to move up, so light pressure, and then we're going to move down. So anytime we're moving down, we're going to be using heavy pressure, and uppercase letters are not really based on the basic strokes. Some of them are, like the C, but some of them aren't. So it's just anytime you're moving your pen in a downward direction, do a thin line. Anytime you're moving up, it's going to be light pressure. And also anytime you're moving horizontally, it's also going to be light pressure. So a thin line. So you can see I'm moving up, so it's thin. I transition to thick, and then you're going to transition to thin again. H is going to be 2 thick lines and a thin cross. I is a thin down. And you can always, like that example, I just went back in and filled it in. That's totally an option too. If you don't quite get it the first time, you can kind of go back. K basically has all 3 lines are thick. For M, we're moving up, thin, down, thick, up, thin, down, thick, up, thin, down, up. So just think about the direction you're drawing the letters, and that's going to help you know where to do the thickness. So the O, we can do the same thing. We're going to start at 2 o'clock. The same thing as the O form. And we'll do light pressure, then we're going to transition to thick, transition back to light, and connect. Got heavy pressure here because we're moving down. Then we've got a reverse O form. The Q is going to be the same thing. And those, you see how I just went back over it? That's totally okay to do that if you need to go back to do a little touch up. A reverse O form and kind of an underturn. This is just like a regular S. U is going to be like an underturn. We've got V, down thick line, up thin line. Same with this W, down thick, up thin, down thick, up thin. So you could probably do all these letters how you just normally write capital letters. And just remember, anytime you're moving up, you're going to do thin, or horizontal is also thin, and anytime down, it's going to be thick. So those are all of those letters. So these are going to be really fun, again, for those mini Valentines, or you could use them on your treat bags too.